There you go.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you.
Yes, how are you feeling?
All good, all good. Ha! I
Good.
prepared the background for this
Oh, look at your fancy background.
time.
I love what you've done with your plants.
Oh, thank you. That's the only way. Oh, no, this one. That's the only way they're going to be alive when it's on the screen.
Right? I need to take some lessons from you.
Yeah, my children always
Someone
tease
gave
me. They're like,
someone
I'm
gave
like
John
that
and I an
lady.
orchid. And I'm like,
Yeah, an orchid.
no, go on. You're like the lady who what?
Yeah, so my kids tease me. They say I'm like that lady walking into the nursery. It is most nursery where they grow the plants, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
and I go like, "Ooh, you look nice. Are you ready to come home and die with me?" I don't have green fingers.
Someone gave us an orchid, and I'm like I have no idea what to do with an orchid. So luckily, my one friend was like, put ice cubes in it every few days. And I don't know how, but for the last 3 weeks, it has been alive. Why am I unstable again? Am I good now?
You're a married
Can you guys hear me
person.
now?
You're going to be unstable.
Nice.
Saint John, my love.
I think I don't know. We've got to figure this out. Let me go check with John and make sure he doesn't have anything going. He can turn stuff off on his computer.
Oh my God.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Um, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Well done. Well done.
Well, yeah, just ridiculous. Oh, I now have 20 clients,
Sure.
20 websites.
Sure.
But I built 4 on the weekend. So I'm tired and I'm
Okay.
hungry. I should grab something quick. I haven't even eaten yet today. I've been in meetings all morning.
Oh, I wish I
Yes,
could
go get
make
a
you a
snack.
salmi.
Let's see if I keep my video off if I go a little bit more stable.
All right. How are you,
Are you guys
Holly?
hearing me?
I'm hearing you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can.
I was just wondering if I turned off my video. Okay. I'm good. I
Good.
am, yeah, doing well. Things are slowly still coming together. Um, but yeah, doing fine. No complaints. No complaints. It's a good place to
Nice.
be. Yeah. Yeah. But 20 new clients, that's horrible.
I'm freaking out. Well, they're not new ones. It's now 20 overall.
Oh, and you had 14?
Yes. Ah,
Mhm.
So I built 4 websites over the
Wow.
weekend. So I am not
Yeah.
any better. I got rid of, well, I haven't got rid of them yet, but I have 4
Yeah.
websites that are off my plate. I still have to meet with the clients, so that's another 6 hours meeting with clients about their websites to hand them off. So I'm really,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Yeah, the end of
Yeah,
November is coming soon.
it is. Because it's already October 15th. So that's good news.
Well, it is, but I got to get all this done before the end of November. And
Yes.
anyways, ladies, it's good to see you. I'm just gonna grab a snack quick if you don't mind while I need to eat.
Yep.
I'm starving.
Grab a snack.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'll be right
We don't
back.
want you to paint. We don't want you to faint.
Yeah.
We want you to faint. How are the kids doing, Rita?
They're doing good. I think the end of the year is rushing by.
Yeah.
Thursday evening is now the big prize giving evening.
Yeah.
So I did say to the kids, listen, Thursday evening is the highlight of my course as well. So you guys will have to
Yeah.
excuse me. I'm sending their daddy with them. So and they're very supportive. They're
Yeah.
like, oh well, mum, you haven't even missed one beat this whole year. Always next to a hockey
Oh,
field or cross country or
yeah.
wherever. And they're like, you just do you. We'll let you know what happened. I'm
Oh,
like, great.
that's really sweet.
Yeah, so
That's
things are
good.
doing
How old are they again?
perfect. 17. 17. So
That's right. Okay. So they still have like one more year of school.
one more year left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
know
so it's not like their
gonna
last
even
awards ceremony.
yeah. No, the thing is, Holly, that I felt a little bit bad because I've been always there for everything unless I'm in hospital, right? So it was also just one of those things that I said to them,
Hmm. Yeah.
I've seen it happen. So I don't have to be there for the accolade because accolade
Mm-mm.
is not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the whole year that it contributed towards you, and it was a privilege to see you there. So kind
Yeah.
of the accolade is such a necessary thing because it just steals
Right.
so much of your joy. And so yeah, in a certain way, I think it can be very helpful for them also to just always ask the question, am I doing this because it's good for me and I enjoy whatever, sports,
Hmm.
leadership, um, or am
Hmm.
I doing it for the accolade? So in a certain sense, I do think
Yeah.
Thursday will be one of those days where they will have to ask these questions for themselves.
Hmm. That time of life to start asking those big questions, and
Yeah.
and not just ask them, but then like deal is the wrong word, but like yeah, deal with the consequences, or like live with the consequences, good or bad.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. And we make it easy for our kids when mommy is always around. You know, we
Yeah.
we absorb all the
Hmm.
emotions and it's good. It's good at times that they have to just evaluate on their own.
Hmm. Yes, definitely. Um, do you guys know if you listen to the past recording coaching call of Delia and Hoover?
No, it doesn't sound
Or
familiar to me.
okay, or Coyote coaching Mono Video?
No.
Or Bina? Did you guys hear Bina's?
What are the
Hey, so I think I
themes?
might have. Well, that's let me start it here. I just pulled these up that Cheryl just sent.
I'm back.
Hold on, let's see. Um, oh, it's just showing all the questions that the coach says. Huh, I mean, that's good, but what connections do you see between momentum and having that push and feeling grounded?
Mm-mm. No, we
You
haven't done
mentioned
something like that.
okay. Let me let's figure out how to do this because I thought, you know, today's lesson is pretty self-explanatory. We can go through it and talk about some of the things, but it's just, how can we do coaching in different ways than just video, right? And really it's thinking about what are the things we need to think about, like ethical wise, setting time parameters and boundaries and those kinds of things. But Cheryl sent this list out to Lori and I the other night. So I was like, oh, I don't know if you all have heard these or not.
Hello, I have a
So
question, Holly.
yeah.
Um, is today not group mentoring? Is that what we're doing?
No, right? No, we're not. So I was confused too. Because Cheryl said we were going over the talking on Monday, and Cheryl's like, and you've got Tuesday. And I was like, no, Cheryl, it's group mentoring. She goes, no, there's one more class. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's group mentoring. We all decided. And she's like, well, you can decide, but there's still like one more chapter to do.
Well, I think
And
the
I was like,
thing
oh,
is remember we had one, there was a class we didn't do. So I think
right.
everything may be pushed forward. You know what I mean? So it may be we're
Mm,
doing group mentoring on the 17th, and then our final class will end up being on the Tuesday. Is that
yeah,
correct?
let me shoot her a message right now so we can get an answer.
So I did ask her. Is she okay?
Yeah. Well, she just has a ton going on. There was another loss in her family, not as close as the first one, but it still was a family member. And so she had to fly to that. And then
Okay.
they were
Because I
moving
was,
houses.
yeah, because I asked
They
her,
were
it
moving.
says it was 5 days ago. I asked her where she put those PCC recordings for us. And then I
Mm-hmm.
also said, the number of classes left in the recordings on the platform doesn't match the number of classes left on our schedule. Do we need to make up a class? Is our schedule of our final class or performance evaluation
Mm.
still on the 17th? She said, let me double check, and never got back to me.
Okay. So has their final class, what's the date of next Tuesday?
The 17th.
No.
Is that no?
Next
The final
No.
class
Tuesday.
and performance evaluation is supposed to be on Thursday.
Okay. So then 22 and not
Um,
Thursday the
I'm
17th.
just worried because I'm traveling the 22nd. I'm flying down to Cape Town. So
Oh,
basically, I won't be able to make 22nd.
Which
okay.
would make
Yeah.
sense because you would have, according to our schedule, schooling's done by then, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. see if we can get a hopefully fairly quick response. But then, yeah, they were moving house, but that all got delayed because of the two losses in the family. So then they were scrambling this past week or last week to get the one house packed up and move states. I mean, the poor woman she's like, I'm so sorry. I just haven't been, on top of things. And I was like, Cheryl, all three of us have had like major life things happening in the last couple of weeks. Like,
yeah, right.
we could all give
Like
each
we're
other some
dying.
grace and understanding, right? Lori, 2 hurricanes. I mean, mine's joyful, but it's still like a lot going on.
Yes.
So while we're waiting to hear back, these recordings, this one specifically is ACC passing, which is fine because it's still going to hit all the markers that you all need to hit to pass the class as well. So I think, is it sharing on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. What you got? These side things are so weird. Yeah, so when I hit play, it's pretty cool. Like she had it just do all the coaches' moments, talks, spots. And then the other one was the Bina, and then the Coyote. So do we want to just start, go ahead and start listening to this coaching call?
Sure.
Or do you guys want to go through the lesson? Or we can do both. Because it's just 30 minutes.
Yeah, let's do the.
Okay. What, Christine?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so let's listen to this and then hopefully we'll also get something back from Cheryl in that meantime. So I'll go ahead and hit play again.
Holly,
Yes.
have you started the session?
What?
Have you played the session? Because we're not hearing anything.
No.
Oh, you're not at all? Oh my gosh. Oh, that's okay. Well, maybe I don't know how to do that then. I know how to share screen and sound.
You know what? It once happened to me when I presented, but I had my headset on. and it
Oh, I
played
should.
in my ears, but the people couldn't hear. So just try to disable your pods.
That's
Okay, AirPods out.
Okay, we can still hear you.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit play. You guys count to 10. If you're not hearing anything in 10 seconds,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
And this has been quite a rigorous
Can hear it.
process. This master is more about the research submission, the thesis submission, basically, and then the defense presentation, and then wrapping up and meeting all the criteria that needs to be met before I graduate. What is really happening is that while I have my work set up, I'm currently working, and I also have my academics to look into. Well, this was a conscious decision to keep working during this period and opt for the studies. But of late, what is really happening as I'm nearing the time? So June is when I have to appear for my exams and presentations. As I'm nearing the time, I feel that I'm slowing down. You know, I don't have that speed as I used to have. And maybe I felt that I'm overwhelmed with a lot of things that's happening. And I also understand that the speed that I'm working with is not serving me. Because there are many things that I need to look at. I need to finish my writing, then wrap up my research, and then work on the findings, and editing, and a lot of that as well. But I don't know. I think I don't have that momentum anymore, and I'm unable to figure out what's really happening. Is it because I'm sailing through that uncertain phase? So am I feeling very uncertain about the whole thing? While one part of me knows that I'm certain about it, that I need to finish it this year. I don't want to carry forward into the next year or maybe take a break or something like that. I have to do it this year. But I don't know why. Last 15 days, I've been in that phase where I feel I need a push, or maybe what is it that can push me, or what is it that's happening to me? What can really make me speed up? And anything that can really help me here in this phase. So with this, thoughts in my mind, I think I would like to explore this in today's session. Yeah.
So you mentioned about slowing down, overwhelm, not having the momentum, needing a push. What would be the most important to achieve in this session?
I think I would like to look at two things here. One is maybe get that momentum, that inspiration, which can really drive me forward. Second being to acknowledge, to be with what I'm going through, because there is a feeling of overwhelm. And so how do I really be centered? How do I really be grounded? So have that grounded feeling and work towards my goal, move forward, is what I'm looking at.
And what connection do you see between the momentum to have that push and feeling grounded?
I think it's about, being self-assured. When I'm talking about the stability, the centering that I'm looking at, maybe it's more about that internal confidence and that assurance that I will reach there. So there's this sense of optimism there that which can drive me forward and say that, okay, whatever needs to be done, but I will reach there eventually on time.
Now, you mentioned that internal confidence will drive you, and that's like momentum and push. When I say that, what comes to you?
Yeah, I think that would really work like an anchor. Maybe something that can anchor me into the process or into so maybe that anchor can give me the drive. So I know I am the driver. I mean, I am in the driving seat. But what's the support or what's the assurance that I have that maybe if I drive in a certain speed, I'll reach the destination. So that's the kind of analogy I can make right now. Yeah. But one thing for sure, I am into the driving seat. And if I don't drive, there is no chance of reaching anywhere. So I need to drive. Maybe I might get off the road or maybe lose my direction, but that anchor would bring me back. So what could that compass, maybe some inner compass, or maybe I don't know what would that be, but something which could help me be on track.
And what will be the importance, and what do you see as the importance of an inner compass in achieving your goals in time?
I think the current setup is more like that there are many demands. There are many external demands. Right? There are timelines to be met, there are deliverables in terms of work, professional life to be met. There are household chores to be done, and the personal kind of life that's operating. So amidst all this, there really has to be, because this is something that I have picked up for myself. I was never trusted, this, there was never something that was forced onto me. So I could only, what I realized that because it's a chosen one, it has to be internal. While there is an external timeline to it, but there has to be an internal push. So maybe this internal push and the external timeline, both of these are conflicting with each other, which is really making me feel overwhelmed. So how do I set that, how do they both work in tandem, in sync? Like, okay, there is a deadline. I have to meet a deadline. But I am sufficient and capable to meet that deadline. But all that I need to do is move and not be stagnant and not be there at one, not do anything. I mean, it cannot be out of inaction. It has to be action. So how do I become more action oriented? Even feeling overwhelmed, still act.
I just love your commitment to really making this happen. You've spoken so much about action and driver and driving it. So when things are in tandem, by the end of the session, How will you know?
I think if I walk away with even one kind of strategy, which really feels promising for now, which really gives me that, which acts as that lamppost for me for now, so that I can try that out and progress and see what it has to bring to me, I think is good enough for me.
Fabulous. So a lamppost to experiment and see how it goes. You're taking action. When you have that, how will you feel?
I think hopeful is the word. Yeah.
And when you are hopeful, how does it feel in your body?
It's like a bulb or lighted up. It also feels light as I say the word hopeful. Then it feels, oh yeah, it is doable. So hopeful is doable at this moment.
And when you said lighted, and there was a smile where your teeth just lighted. Like, oh my God. So how lighted or hopeful are you at this moment in the session?
I'm hopeful that maybe I'll get away.
Okay, so
I'll take away with some.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how hopeful are you about having that drive by the end of the session on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is very hopeful and 1 is less hopeful?
Currently, my situation was a 5 when I came to you, but now it feels like I would say a 7.
Really?
I would say a 7 because 5 was really a feeling of immobility. And this point in time, this is really important for me to move from that place. 7 for me is good. I mean, I would say 7 is a start point for me to move to that 10. I cannot look at 5 as a start point for me to move to 10 because that seems quite like behind.
And where would you like to be at the end of the session?
Oh, I would really want to be at a 9.5, 10. Because with that strategy, I'm really looking forward to some action to begin. To test that and also test myself.
So what do you need to address to take action, even one step? What do you need to address?
I think there are 2 barriers, I would say, currently. And maybe one barrier is supporting the other, I don't know. But it feels like the first one is that it's more of procrastination that's happening. So procrastination is one of the barriers, which is more like pushing things to a later time. So when I sit writing, it's like you write 2 lines and then I'm lost, and then okay, never mind, you will get the inspiration later. So, but that later then never comes. And when it doesn't come, it's more like, okay, it's not coming, so it'll come, but it doesn't come again. So I would say procrastination is something. And second, this sense of being perfect. this sense of having that perfect two lines, even if those two lines are written. What blocks my movement forward is that, are these two lines sounding good enough, or are they good enough to take forward? So it's like revisiting those two again and again, and then caught up in that, it's like coiled up in it. So that again, pulls me back. And maybe then, okay, I delete those again, two lines, and then again. So there's a lot of time that kind of, I'm sitting in those two lines, and then it's like, oh, I need a break. And then so much of time has already passed by. Oh, this date is coming nearer. So there is also a fear factor. As I say this, I sense that there's also a fear factor that kind of comes out of these two things, like procrastination and juggling with perfection.
Fear of what?
Fear of losing out on maybe this opportunity of in terms of time that I have, and losing out in terms of finishing it off. That maybe I'll have to take a decision to then maybe drop it this year and take a drop this year. Yeah.
I heard you say something where you mentioned I know this is not serving me. So you're pretty aware of what's serving you and what's not. What is making you continue procrastination and perfection when you know it's not serving you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not able to figure that out. That while I know these are the two things that are really these are blockers. But what is it that I can really do? Because one thing is definite about the quality, because I do believe a lot in quality. So one of my beliefs is that, when any quality work takes time. So maybe I'm giving it the time it needs. But at the same time, I know even with that time, I'm not coming back to it the next time. So I'm really conflicted with what I believe for myself will help me, but at the same time, that belief, when it's in reality, it's not. It feels like a lot of time wastage, and also when a lot of time goes into a certain thing wherein I don't see result coming out, I feel that maybe let's move on to something which will give me result. So also I think there is this I'm looking for this meaning in something from where I can get some instant gratification, that something which maybe can yield me an instant result. Yeah, when I say instant, Yeah, but when I say instant, instant doesn't come with taking too much of load. And when I say if I want things to be faster than they are, then maybe I have to take smaller chunks. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, maybe I think I really have to put a boundary to what I take in a particular time. Like currently, it feels overwhelming, and nothing instantly comes out of it because it feels like a sea. So if I really make it small and um, and maybe give it a boundary, like I only have to look at from this to this. So this is the only chunk that I will work on today, or maybe in this 1 hour, or maybe in the next 2 hours. And I just focus on that 1 or 2 things that I think, rather than looking at the whole pieces and keeping it open. So moving from one page to the other page and then going back. So it looks like huge. Yeah. And I'm reminded of this when I say instant. I'm getting this. I don't know why I'm getting this 2-minute instant noodles. which is like when you open the packet and you immediately make it. So it's like it satiates your hunger. It and we're happy about it. So maybe then, if I can have a boundary and decide on how much that I have to take in a 1 or 2 hour thing, maybe that can instantly give me that, that can, my hunger, it would really work on that. And maybe that instant gratification can be my, I think, my compass, so that can drive me to take more and try more. Yeah. Mm. I don't know why I'm also having this image of it's very different how I see a road in the sunlight and how I see the road in the moonlight. It's maybe a torch in my hand. So maybe what I'm looking at right now is a torch in my hand. So only see that much and move ahead. Maybe when I'm seeing the whole thing, that's overwhelming. Oh, whether I'll reach there, whether I'll reach there. So maybe just, reducing my area to a smaller one, which doesn't make me too overwhelmed. And just take that much at a time, not flood myself with a bigger one, bigger chunk.
Thank you for putting that effort in exploring your metaphors. So as you talk about working in chunks, setting boundaries that could give you instant gratification and satisfy your hunger, what are you learning about yourself?
One thing for sure, I think I'm a storyteller. So so and yeah, and I think I can use how can I use more of these metaphors and stories in my work, which could make me, which could also give me that direction, and even that could be the giver of direction. So that's one thing. And the second thing is what I'm learning is less can be more. It need not be more to be more. Less can also be more. So at this point in time, I think taking it in chunks, lesser bites, I think will meet my hunger more than like gulping everything and not being able to digest it. So I think, yeah, I mean, definitely in terms of passion, in terms of vision, I'm looking at taking the whole of it inside. But for now, at this situation, I think what can serve me really is to savor those little chunks that I can take one at a time and then move with it.
So, in regards to taking action, how do you think we have progressed in the session until now?
I think I figured out a couple of actionables for me as I spoke to you, is that I really need to cut these pieces into sub pieces. That's something that's the first thing that I'll do. And and then you know taking those sub pieces, I mean timing those sub pieces and just looking at those at a particular time might give me that impetus that I'm looking to move forward. Because the smaller the pieces, the tendency is to finish them. And finishing is what I'm looking at. Completion now is important. Because I've started many things, I've not been able to complete. So completion is really important at this point in time. And completion will decide my movement forward. So, yeah.
So, to support completion in small parts, what will be the first step you are going to take from the session and when?
I think for each day I will, because there are many other tasks also to be accomplished during the day. On this part, each I take on one sub part each day and assign a time to it. And try to live up to that time. Yeah.
So, considering the knowledge and the learning that less is more, and you're going to dedicate some part of your time every day to do small chunks, what support would help you take this forward?
Support. I think um, I will I need to make a timetable for every day and not for the whole month or whole 3 months or something like that, which I've made in it, but it's not working. But I think a timetable for every day, which is specific to that day, like it's like small chunks, so one day at a time. With that one day, I see how much I have finished. And maybe that can be one milestone. The second day, the other milestone, rather than putting those milestones in bigger ones in terms of months. And so I can just take it easy day-wise. So that's something, and I would really, I would want to have an accountability partner, and that's what I was thinking, that who could really check on me whether I've accomplished my day's aim. And someone who pops up is my daughter. Maybe if I make that and put it up somewhere, maybe next to her timetable, which she has, or I think she'll be happy to monitor me. She'll be more than happy to monitor.
Yeah. A dream coming true.
For her, yeah.
Okay, so when do you think you would be giving time to make this daily timetable in your day?
So for tomorrow, I would really want to make it today. And for every day, I would make it the first thing in the morning. But I really want to give it a thought, and on this conversation that we've had, really sit through it and see how I can divide it into pieces today, and take tomorrow as my first day again and restart. So and start of every day, I spend some time in giving myself that the task that needs to be completed that day itself. And I don't want to lay out the timetable for the whole week or something, because I know that it's just a day that I think is currently like, it is lightening me up, saying that, hey, why have I not tried this? So let's take it a day and see how it goes.
I can see when you're speaking, your statements are coming a bit faster, which shows more confidence. What do you think?
So I am feeling that this is doable.
Doable, yes.
And it is worth giving a try.
So we started with, we want to feel hopeful, be doable by the end of the session. Where have we progressed on the scale?
I think I'm good at 9 right now. Beautiful. And I'm willing to start it. So I've already have many ideas where I've started locating in my mind map as, okay, this can be cut into these pieces, that can be cut into. So I'm just maybe after the session, and we'll sit and take some time, maybe with a cup of tea or coffee, and sit with it and then, yeah.
Thank you for, I could see you putting that effort. I really admire when you were really thinking and everything was happening in your mind, and you had all these metaphors coming about the moonlight and the torch, and beautiful work. It was amazing to see you. Is there anything else you would like to discuss about this topic before we finish?
I think I'm good, Vidya. Thank you so much for holding the space for me. It really, it seems I mean, this was very important, and it really helped. This conversation really helped me see through the other possibilities that are there, lying unexplored. So I'm really excited to try and see how it works for a week.
Lovely. Thank you so much, and I look forward to our next sessions.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good
Oops.
evening, Rupa. How
What are our thoughts? What jumped out for you guys?
The huge gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were really significant gaps where the coach kind of didn't say anything. At one point I had to look to make sure that we were still in the session and you hadn't like, lost your internet.
Me too.
Yeah, because it was just so long and I feel kind of uncomfortable about that.
Mm.
I don't know.
I
I
think
felt I don't know.
I think the bummer with just the recording is we can't see the client's face. So I felt that exact same way. And I like looked at the times between questions asked and saw it was like 8 minutes. And I was like, well, we don't see the client's face. So I'm going to assume that it must have been fairly obvious that the client was still processing and thinking. And that's why they took so long to get to the next question. Because, I mean, they definitely left more than 10 seconds of silence.
Yeah. There was a lot of silence there.
But then just when I thought, oh, the coach will come in with a question, like one of the ladies started to speak, I thought, oh, it's the coach. And then I'm like, oh, nope, that's still the client. Oh, here comes the coach. Oh, nope, that's still the client. So it must have been sort of obvious if we would have been seeing the client face to face that she was thinking.
Yeah, maybe. And I thought,
Yeah.
why did that feel uncomfortable for me? Well, because I felt like if I was the client in that situation, I might have felt like, well, what was the point of me even going to the coach? I kind of came up with everything myself. But you're right, we don't have that visual.
Yeah. And I thought, let me go back. Oops, nope, I don't want to hear it again. Let me share again. Oh, now I'm gonna find it in my the procrastinate and perfection. So this really big gap here was 1642 to 2457.
Yeah.
And it was after the client had talked about like being coiled up in procrastination and perfectionism, and that they're not serving her. And that's when the coach asked, so you're pretty aware of that it's what's not serving you. What is making you continue to procrastinate and perfection when you know it's not serving you? And that did lead into 8 minutes of, well, we'll say 5.5 minutes of talking and a lot of thinking time for the client. So, I mean, the coach did, definitely propel her forward. But I mean, the woman was very good at processing out a lot of her own like thoughts and hearing herself
Yeah.
out loud.
Yeah, but I
And I
think
thought,
there's a lot of things she did really well in here, a lot of questions that
yes.
she asked really well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the one that you just mentioned. And I mean, it seems really obvious to outsiders, but you're basically you're still doing the same thing.
Right.
hoping for a different result, right? So, but I think she
Yeah.
asked a tremendous amount of really good questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it really hard to understand the other person, the person being coached. So
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
I missed some of what she was saying, but I think she met a lot of really, really good markers.
Yes, she really did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when you think about it, like when you're in the situation, when you're the coach and you're just listening to the client talk for 5 minutes, 8 minutes, you know, you can get lost in your own head or lost in all the stuff that they've just said to you. And it can be hard to extract a really good, powerful question. And
Mm-hmm.
she, over and over again, really extracted these, like hitting the nail on the head with her questions. And I
Yeah.
think that was really obvious just even at the beginning when she asked, you know, when the client said, you know, when we started, I was at a 5 and now I'm at a 7. The coach was like, okay, great. Well, then where do you want to be by the end of the session? And she said, you know, I'd like to be at a 9 or a 10. So it all was moving her forward very fast. I thought it was really a great marker of, you know, giving the client insight to what we're seeing when she said that her teeth really lit up when she smiled. um well, I guess I didn't put it here. And okay, 11:41, you know, when you said light it up, there was a smile where your teeth just lit up. And I was like, so how lighted up or hopeful are you in this moment of the session? So I think that that was a great awareness question for the client, you know, to help her check herself that it was very obvious that these things were firing her up in a good way, lighting her up would be the better word.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused and a bit worried.
Mm,
When I had my feedback from Cheryl last week,
yeah.
she said that we should only mention, like, I can see you smiling,
Mm-hmm,
but and then ask the client what is coming up for them. We shouldn't add
mm-hmm,
the emotion. That's where we must
mm,
hold off. So I'm wondering, is this not typically the thing we we are supposed to only say, I saw you smile,
mm-hmm.
and your teeth lit up. So what is happening at this moment for you? You know, and
Yes.
kind of maybe hold off light and hopeful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. You also have to think, I mean, nobody passes with the perfect score. So maybe she
Yes,
got a
yes.
little bit marked down for saying that, but I think it would have been a lot more powerful to leave out the emotion that she was seeing and just bring into attention the smile and the just the change of body language and then ask what was coming up for her. There might have been a
Okay.
little bit more insight, yeah, for the client had she asked it that way.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Um, I'm always really impressed when a coach takes a really long time to get to the like the measurable part, the measurable outcome of the coaching agreement. And because that means like there were so many other things like playing into it, but they all were so good. And all of a sudden, like at minute 13, the coach is saying, well, where would you like to be at the end of the session? Um, because really they've already explored, the client has already talked a lot about her emotions, what it's going to mean for her drive. You know, she gave metaphors of being in the driver's seat and a lamppost and the all these different things. So when in this session, when the coach got to where would you like to be at the end of the session, it was a fairly quick then jump over into action plan. You see how that happened? I mean, sometimes it doesn't take that long, you know, but I think what's impressive when it takes longer is I think that just really shows the coach's ability to just sit back and really, really let the client drive the session and continually asking questions based on what the client is saying regarding the coaching agreement. And then, you know, bringing it to a full circle as far as coaching agreement is concerned. Where would you like to be at the end of the session? I just thought the coach handled that really well.
Hmm. And all I feel is fear when that happens.
Mm. That's okay.
I tend to do that. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get to by the time we get to agreement,
Right.
we're going to have like 5 minutes left and oh my gosh. And I tend to, start to, I mean, I don't freak out or anything, but I want to, I have to hold back from trying to rush. That's what I do. I hold back from trying to rush the client.
Yes. It's so, and I mean, I'm the same. Like if I'm not in that good mindset, like it's so easy to want to rush the client. Cause I was like, she's at 13 minutes. Okay. And she is going to wrap this up and it passed. So she got this done in 35 minutes. Let's see how that gets pulled off. Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
At 1:15, where she said, or whatever it was, when you are hopeful, how does it feel in your body? I don't know, man. I struggle with that a bit because that seems to me like that's something when I go to my psychologist, right? She'll ask me to connect to my body, and there, there's a specific reason for that. And it's a psychologist thing that they do. And I was talking to my girlfriend Bonnie, the one from the other class, and she's a psychologist, right? And we were just chatting one day about that. She goes, and she was saying, oh yeah, that's a psychologist thing. She was telling me what it was and I forget now. Like, is doing that and asking them to connect like that, not crossing over into something that's not ours as a coach?
No, it's actually not. The more that we can, the more senses that we can get a client to connect with when it comes to a feeling or a thought, then the deeper that is going to go for the client and the more effective it is going to be for them. Let me find what marker that is. Language. I mean, 6.3 under listening explores emotions.
And I get that. And I get that it's a marker, but I guess in that specific way of doing it is a therapeutic way of doing it.
Well, I think there are some things that, go kind of between a little bit of coaching and a little bit of psychology. I mean, that's just the psychology of a person, like helping a person identify not just a thought, but how that feels. I think maybe where a psychologist would take it next based on the answer is going to be a lot different than us. I think if the client hadn't said hopeful, right? Because the client said like it's giving her hope. If she had not said hopeful and the coach just said, it seems like you're feeling a lot more hopeful, or I'm seeing hopeful on your face, or basically like prescribed hopeful to the client in a sense, right? Then that's crossing, because then that's kind of diagnosing and trying to figure out what the client's feeling. But she was
Okay.
basing it basically, I mean, literally off the client having said that they are feeling hopeful. And then asking, okay, how does that feel in your body? Where a psychologist, therapist, they have a lot more range where they can go and can prescribe or help clients identify feelings that, you know, we don't really realize we're feeling or that are coming across. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So anytime you hear a client talk about an emotion, we are allowed to ask about it. But if we're prescribing emotions to clients, then that's crossed over that line. Or then suggesting what to do with that, then that's crossing over that line. But just asking based on the emotion they said and allowing the client to explore how that feels, that's within coaching, the coaching realm. That's okay.
Yeah, okay.
I know it's some of these, you know, it could just be like a little bit touchy, right? But she did it right because the client had just spoken of being hopeful.
Yeah, and that's,
I
I
wish.
guess that's something I completely avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a specific type of therapy, right? And I forget what it's called now, but it's a specific type of therapy that's used. And I don't know, I'm going to have to look into that because it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Yeah, it does.
Well, I think if you look at the whole thing of the whole therapy, what'd you say? Not movement, but practice or way of helping a client. If you look at the whole thing of it, yeah, we're not going to do that whole thing of it. This is just a tiny little bit that comes out of that. And that's just getting a client to identify with more senses in their body. What are you hearing? What does that feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Just like visualization, right? So if we're having a
Yeah.
client visualize and ask them, you know, when you think about the next year, you know, what colors do you see? You know, how does your body feel when you think about the next year? You know, what if you were to light a candle for the next year, what would it smell like? So it's just kind of, it's the same line of that thinking. So very, very simplified version from what a therapist would do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, I don't know. And I don't have to do that
Yeah.
as well in my
No,
coaching.
you don't
I
have to.
feel like
No.
that's weird. And well, not weird. I mean, because my psychologist does it all the time, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I don't, and my husband complains about it all the time. You know, he always comes home from
Yeah.
sessions with her and he's like, so she
Yeah.
asked me, where does that in my body and what does it feel like and what shape is it and what color is it? And he says, was she on drugs? Like, oh my gosh. And because he's not that connected to himself, right? Like,
Yeah.
and me, he's like, has
Yeah.
she ever asked that? I'm like, oh yeah, totally. And I totally got into it. And this is
Yeah.
how it went. And he's like, how did you get that from that? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. The only time I've ever had that experience has been with a licensed therapist.
Yeah. And so that's really telling because I'm sitting here thinking of all the therapy I've been in, and I haven't really had that happen a lot. So I
Yeah.
think it does depend. Obviously, your therapist is using it a lot, and the fact that it just doesn't speak to your husband, so then he speaks about it in a different way than you would.
Yeah. Yeah, but she was
but you
telling
don't.
me, like, my therapist has, I forget what she said it was now, and Bonnie, they said the same thing. It's a specific
Mm,
type of therapy. And so I think to myself, I get some things cross over, but how much do they cross over? And you're right,
mhm,
though, I guess what you do after that, like, what's the purpose of my psychologist asking me? She goes really
mhm.
deeply into it. She'll have me visualize and do a whole thing, whereas we wouldn't do that,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Mm.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
got a response from Cheryl really quick. I can respond. So she said, um, wanted to know if you guys were both available then to do the last class on the 29th, since Rita, you're going to be gone on the 22nd.
Oh, the 29th. Let me just look quickly in both my calendars. Hold
Okay.
on. I just got to hit the work calendar first.
I know. Yeah, you do.
Um, 29th. That's a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can do that. I have nothing booked yet. I just need to know a time so that no clients can book. I'll just change my calendar right now so we don't have to worry about that. And I'll just look in my other calendar. What about you, Rita?
Yeah, it looks as if I'm available. I assume same time.
Yeah.
Like tonight.
Okay, so that if
Are
that's
you,
our final class and final performance, that would mean Thursday would be group mentoring. Is that correct?
I would assume, let me ask.
Um,
So Rita, you're back though.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
okay,
29th.
calendar. Oh, that's thank God. That gives me just a little bit more time
Yes.
to get some websites out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm available the 29th.
Okay. So I told her the 29th works and I asked if the Thursday class is going to be group mentoring. We'll hear back from her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break and let's come back at 25 to the hour,
Okay,
and then we will
and I'm just gonna pop that in my calendar right now.
yes.
29.
Yeah. Um, do you guys want to do an in-class coaching or do you want to listen to another one of these?
I want to listen to a PCC one. I
Okay,
still
well, I
don't know
don't
where
have,
those are. I've been looking and
I
I
don't
just
either.
don't know where they are. If we could find out where one, you don't have one of those?
No, this playlist is
Oh,
ACC and Bina's. I don't know if it was a PCC or an ACC. So recordings passed at the ACC, PCC. Yeah, I don't know if she just hasn't uploaded PCC yet, but none of the ones I see specifically say.
okay.
Okay, well, let's come back at 25 till, and then we can decide from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. you. I just sneezed. I'm not dying. Oh, sorry. I sneezed really loud. But I went on mute, so if you listen to the playback, you won't hear it. But my dog came running.
There you go.
That's what matters, right? He's not gonna let me
As long as
die.
they listen at all,
I know.
like at all.
Not gonna let me die. Cheryl said, so I told her the 29th. She said, great. She said, but if you guys want to talk about it more on Thursday when she's with you all, and you need to find something else, and that's good too.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
I'm good. I already blocked it off in my calendar, so no
Perfect.
clients can book with me.
Okay.
Like I booked off the whole day right now till I hear back from
Oh,
her on the time.
there you go. Better safe than sorry. Yeah.
I don't want to deal with any conflicts. It just causes me
Right.
stress. Like, I don't need any more
Like,
stress right now.
no,
I'm so
you don't.
excited that it's not till the 29th.
Okay,
Oh,
see, then it
just,
all worked out.
I know it just gives me that little bit of extra time. I probably shouldn't be so, I mean, I literally have done nothing, and that's terrible because my coaching course is really important.
I know.
And but my clients, I just can't ignore them because they're human beings who are like, hey, and I only have
Yeah.
3 weeks from start to finish with them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I have to have, the whole everything done, and I send them a timeline, and I'm bound to that timeline, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost over though.
Yeah. Cha-ching.
It's gonna be
Can I
wonderful.
quickly show you guys something beautiful?
Please
Yes.
do.
I just got something so gorgeous. So tomorrow we're going to a state clinic.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, Thursday. And our logo just arrived that we're going to put on top of or next to our entrance areas. Isn't that gorgeous?
It's
With the
very
3D.
3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool,
so
butterfly.
I love it.
To pull it off.
Where's
Oh.
the old logo?
It's just a flat one. We basically just 3D.
Nice.
Just increased her, I don't know, her creativity. This lady is amazing.
Awesome.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's go spread some hope Thursday.
Yeah.
Right, I'll stop share.
No, I think it's always so exciting when something new and creative comes out for something you're working on.
Yeah.
That's inspiring. Okay, let's look through chapter 14 here. And go from there. So we are covering it. So when it talks about modalities, it's just talking about different ways of coaching or different avenues of coaching. So when you glance through, so chapter 14, page 1 talks about email coaching. Page 2 talks about video or Zoom. 3 talks about chat, so WhatsApp, Messenger, DMs. 4 talks about in-person coaching. So those would be the 4 main actual ways to go about coaching somebody or having a coaching session. Now, the thing to remember with all of them is to set a boundary. So we naturally set a boundary if we're doing a video call or if we're doing in person, right? Like that's just kind of natural, makes sense. But you've got to make sure you set a boundary if you are doing email coaching with someone, because that is I think doing email wise is really spreads out a session. So you'd really want to think through, are you trying to do a whole session, or is this more like a check-in mini coaching session with a client kind of thing? And think about what is a realistic turnaround time, right? So you got to think through, okay, but if the end of my day, workday is 6, and they email me at 5:50, well, obviously you're not gonna like have the time to email them back by 6, or let's assume you can't. So then when's the next reasonable time that you would email them back, right? Because so you got to think like, well, I'm gonna be asleep for, I'm going out, having dinner, doing life, maybe I get up at 6, maybe you get up at 7, but you're also not going to just in 12 hours message them back. So you need to think through like, what's your turnaround time? And so a turnaround time with an email, there's going to be a lot bigger gap than if you think about turnaround time as far as coaching someone in a DM setting, in a chatting setting, right? I think what you have to think about in a chatting setting is not so much, you can think about turnaround, if you message me after this, I'll get back to you the next day or whatever. But if you're sitting down and having a full on coaching session with someone and you're only doing it through chat, 45, 50 minutes probably isn't going to be enough. Like you're going to need longer because it takes longer to type the things out. And I guess this is me, when I'm like typing or writing something out, I'm thinking in a different way than if I'm just saying things off the cuff out of my brain. So I write something and then I fix it a little bit, and then I write something and then I fix it a little bit. Right. So that also like adds in to that time. So, you might want to say like, okay, if I'm doing a chat coaching session, it's an hour and a half. Right. So those are like the big things to think about if you're not doing a Zoom or an in-person session. Something that is already naturally timed. Here's your appointment. I can meet with you from 12 to 12:50, right? And you would say that regardless of whether it was on Zoom or whether it was in person. The thing that we need to think about as far as in person is that, what we talk about with our clients ethically wise is that it's private. And what we talk about is confidential. And, this day and age, like we meet so many people out for a coffee or a drink or a this or a that. And really, it's not the best way to meet a client in person. If you're going to meet a client in person, I personally think it really needs to be in like a controlled setting. Because I guarantee if you are meeting someone for coffee, and even if you meet for coffee 3 towns over from where you all are from, I guarantee somebody's going to walk through that door that your client knows and they're going to stop talking. Or maybe somebody doesn't come through, but there's going to be something, a loud business person, child, any, other people chatting, and it's going to be loud and distracting. And so it's going to be a lot harder for your client to focus and really get the most out of a session, right? Because you ask, pretend you throw out that great, powerful question, and then all of a sudden something in the coffee shop happens that's distracting, like coffee spills, kids run through, whatever, the client's going to lose their train of thought. And so even though you might be able to give, spit back out the question that you asked before, they're going to probably have lost some of their train of thought of where they were when you asked that question. Or if they've started answering it and something distracting happens, that also is going to make it hard for them to get back in that frame of mind. So we do, I think, want to be really specific and careful about meeting people just out and about willy-nilly. And I think, you know, even if you've got a client, they're like, no, it's grand, it'll be fine, it's wonderful. Great, I'm glad that works, you know, for you. But for me personally, you know, put it on yourself. Like, I am easily distracted. You know, say I need to be more in this kind of setting, or it's hard for me at coffee shops or whatnot. So that you're keeping the environment structured and as controlled as possible. The thing, you know, the great thing with all of us going to Zoom video coaching, WhatsApp calling coaching, stuff like that, is that the cost, I mean, it's just drastically changed the cost that we have to put into our business as coaches, right? You know, we're not renting an office space. We're not, you know, paying for the electric and the water and all those things that go into a rental space. It's all wiped out. So we're just doing it from usually a part of our home. Oh, I did forget. I don't know if you all have these in your countries, but they all popped up during the pandemic in the States. Well, specifically after the pandemic, I mean, in the States, all these empty office buildings, right? Because people aren't going back to the office. And so they started turning these empty office spaces into, what do they call them? Like, you can rent an office space, basically. So you can go and like rent a conference room in there for like an hour or two. Or you want to meet a client face to face, you can go, you know, rent a smaller office room for an hour and a half. Or you can go there and use their Wi-Fi or these different things. So if you are looking for ways to meet people in person without having your own specific office, find out if there's some things like that that you can avail of in your area. So, you know, keeping our coaching sessions, taking a lot of the cost out of things on our end, then helps us make it cheaper for our clients, which is just going to be, just allows us to help more people and allows our reach to go further than it would have before, when we were all so zoned in on it has to be in person, right? This was thinking of therapy. I think this is a big difference. When I lived in Ireland, had a wonderful therapist. And when I moved back to the States, Zoom, and this was like, you know, 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago. So like Zoom and all that, you know, like Skype was the thing, but there wasn't like video Skype so much. You were just on the phone. So I did a few sessions with her over the phone, but her interaction was so different. And I think there is a difference with therapy in person versus therapy just on the phone. Now, probably therapy on Zoom these days and video calls probably works a lot better. But I think as coaches, you know, we can still have a good coaching call on literally just a phone call. You don't have to have the video. It's very, very helpful. It helps you go deeper, but you don't have to have it. And you have to think too, then, you know, if you're doing coaching via chat or email, you're removing all of the kind of indicators that we have as coaches. You know, when you're in person or on Zoom, you see people's facial expressions, you see them move around, you see where their eyes are looking, all those little clues that tell us if they're invested or thinking or bored or they don't understand the question. When you're on the phone, you take away the visual aspect, but you still have the voice. And, you know, we do project a lot into our voices. A lot of emotion can come out in our voices. So I think that's why doing a literal phone call can still be very effective for coaching. But when it comes to chat, it comes to email, you have emojis. And unless you guys have decided on what emojis mean what before you start a session, it's really hard to sometimes grasp what they're saying. And in a session, if we kind of twist something, just if we understand something a little bit differently, so it's a little bit twisted in our mind versus what the client was attempting to say to us, that really changes what question we ask next. And then that changes what the client's thinking about and the answers that they're giving. So you just really want to think about all those tiny little minute details when it comes to where and how you are doing your coaching. So with each of these versions, it does give you like the benefits, some strategies, techniques for how to get the most out of each type of coaching. So for email coaching, we've got, the benefits of that communication, techniques that we can use for engagement and clarity, keeping things really structured and consistent, and then confidentiality, and making sure that we are on secure platforms, and that it complies with the privacy laws in your country and or your state, county, region, whatever word you all use. And then with video, it does speak here about the importance of the nonverbal cues and what we can pick up. If you guys haven't watched any like YouTube on body language, it's so fascinating. So there was a case in South Carolina where I'm from, probably a year and a half ago now. And it was huge. It was like across the whole entire United States because it was crazy. But it was an hour down the road from me. And so I got on, someone said, oh my gosh, you got to check this out on YouTube. And so I went, and it was these top 4 Harvard people who do body language observation or whatever for a living and studies. And they were they were saying what they were visually observing from people on the witness stand. And what got crazy was when the person who was found guilty of murdering his wife and son in cold-blooded murder, he got on the stand, which is just dumb, but he's that narcissistic. And so listening to them talk about the body language and what he was projecting with his eyes and his hands and his mouth and those kinds of things. So, if there's something you're really into, I would try to see if there's some kind of nonverbal cue video on it and listen to it and watch it, because it's just really astonishing. Makes me like kind of want to go back and just take a class or two. We do, with the video coaching, like want to make sure that we're setting up a nice environment around ourselves with the video, whether it is a nice environment around us or we just pick a really cute backdrop. And then how we can establish that rapport with a client via video. And then just the technical aspects of it. So having a backup plan, right? I mean, I've been having it this week. I think the reason my internet is unstable is because I am furthest from the router, which obviously means we need a stronger, right? But I'm thinking that's what's making me like unable to pull you all in and stay stable outside of being newly married, Rita. So, you want to like check those things. And as soon as you realize them, getting them fixed. And as far as chat application, you know, there are the advantages, and I think it's really specifically if you're working with a younger crowd or you're working with a really busy person. And so you might find that email is long, but maybe some of your busy clients want to do check-ins and they would prefer to do them via chat. And that chat could also be text messaging, okay? If you want to allow that, no problem. So the chatting and texting, there is that immediacy and being able to quickly respond, check in, and those kinds of things. But again, just thinking through, if you text me, you know, expect, you know, it would be about X amount of hours before you hear back, worst case scenario, kind of thing. And then, you know, what are some of the challenges that are going to pop up? And then what are some strategies for helping us to structure a good coaching call through chat and or text messaging? And then we know what it looks like as far as in person, right? The connection and how to use the physical space. But I think also where you're going to want to think about when it comes to group coaching, that's what I'm getting at. When it comes to group coaching or doing workshops, you'll really want to think through in person versus video. And then how are you going to facilitate either or, right? You have to leave more space on a video call when there's a group of people versus when you're in person, those kinds of things. But thinking through how to facilitate a group, how to lead it, I can't think of the right word. How are you going to do as far as like with workshops? How are you going to get people engaged? How are you going to keep the more quiet people engaged? How are you going to keep the more loud people quiet? And how are you going to work on the energy in the group? What are things you're going to do to build energy in the groups that you're working with? Any questions or thoughts or comments about like those main 4 ways of coaching?
Holly, something that really worked very well.
Mm-hmm.
I had a high profile client and
Mm-hmm.
she just really had the need for anonymity, basically. And she was a deep thinker and it was very intimidating for her. So in the end, what we
Mm-hmm.
agreed to with the email coaching
Yeah.
is that she will sit down
Mm-hmm.
for 35 minutes. We slotted it
Yeah.
into her diary, and she will write the email. And I slotted in my diary 2 days later, a 40-minute or an hour. And I said to her,
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I'm going to sit down and I'm going to respond to your email. So she had to, you know, again, that discipline, get to
Right.
the sessions, and she didn't feel that I'm not hearing or anything, and I slotted in my hour. And I just want to say that was really, really good for us, because it helped me to not frantically check for the inbox the whole time.
Yeah.
And then if the hour is completed, I think we agreed to 45 minutes. You know, I did push it to an hour because it was very
Mm-hmm.
loaded sessions, and I think it worked really well for us because both of us had time of
Mm-hmm.
reading and responding and just reminiscing.
Yeah.
So that is a different alternative that you can look at email coaching as well.
I like that. I like that the doing it, giving it day spacing versus like hour spacing. Yeah, because you're right. I would be looking at my email constantly. Like I got to get it so that I can answer it and I can get back to them.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Thank you. Great example.
I just have something to say. Thank you for sharing that, Rita, because I was thinking to myself, like, In my own personal life, I literally cannot stand texting or sending emails if I don't absolutely have to. I hate doing it for work. I'm just a pick up the phone, 5-minute talk it over type of person. So I'm definitely gravitate towards video coaching. But I struggled to think, why would somebody even want to do the other coaching? Like, why would you want to waste that time and energy? And your example of that particular client really helped me to understand, what types of applications that would be useful for.
Pleasure.
Yeah. So ways that we might want to adapt the coaching is like an email coaching. Instead of asking, how do you feel about the situation? You might want to ask, what are the different emotions you notice when you think about the situation, and what do they each tell you about your values and choices? So obviously in an email session, we're not going to stick to the tried and true one question at a time, right? Because you're not going to get anywhere with a person if you're doing it that way. So thinking about those things also, with video, especially if you're on Zoom now and Teams or whatever you're using, like there's the whiteboards and the share your screen and all the different things you can easily use visual aids for and with your clients, which I think is really good. And I want to make sure we look here at, why are there no pages on here? I think it's page 6, 4, 5, 6. At the bottom, it says the role of emotional intelligence in adapting our coaching approaches. So then actually it doesn't start till 7, and want to talk through these, how we can adapt this. So when it comes to self-awareness and just our self-regulation, as coaches, we need to be keenly aware of the intrinsic communication style, and be willing to adapt it to fit the medium that we're using. So just like we were saying, email may require a more formal language and clear applications, or chat applications, you're going to be more casual, more loose kind of thing. But even then, you still want to notice, right? Because if you're chatting or emailing with a younger person, it's still going to be a little bit different language than if you're chatting, emailing with someone of a different generation. As far as managing emotions within these types of coaching setups, we need to develop a strategy for maintaining composure when these technical issues arise, and we know they're going to arise, right? So it's just rehearsing calming techniques for ourselves, having a backup plan, already having explained the backup plan to a client so they know when a Zoom call drops, give you 2 to 3 minutes and you're going to be calling them on the phone, right? Something like that, whatever it looks like. And then, practice interpreting written communication carefully so that we avoid miscommunicating with our clients that could lead to them having an unnecessary, emotional reaction, making sure that responses are measured and they're considerate of our clients' potential intentions. And then empathy just in the digital space. Gosh, we probably could all do workshops in each of our countries on empathy in the digital space. So interpreting emotional cues. So discuss the nuances of detecting emotional cues in text. So such as paying attention to word choice, response time, the use of emojis or punctuation, because those are going to be your clues, right? Pay attention to the 3 dots. Are the 3 dots there and then they're gone, and then they're there and then they're gone, and then they're there and then they're gone? Clients really thinking before they hit send. In video coaching, nonverbal cues are still just as important, but there may be additional things to consider. So, what's the client's comfortability with the technology and or their environment, and that's going to play a role in things, right? So you're meeting someone of an older generation who isn't tech savvy, then again, you might just not do video and you might do voice, or you might meet with them one-on-one. But then, you know, like Christine doesn't like to text, chat, those kinds of things. Anybody that I know under the age of 30 these days, specifically under the age of 24, I will say, really has a phobia to the phone. So I remember I was manager of a party store for a couple of years, and the assistant manager, she was probably 10 or 12 years younger than me. And I remember like her doctor kept calling, and I was like, Adrian, it is okay. Go in the back room. My word, like your doctor's calling. It's okay. It's your doctor. And she's like, no, I want them to leave a message. And I'm like, why? Don't you need to like know? And she said, oh, I never talk on the phone. I don't like to talk on the phone at all. And then I was like, oh, wow. And then a couple of weeks later, something came up and she's like, Holly, could you call this person for me? And I was like, oh gosh, okay, this is like phobia. And then it made me start watching and listening to other younger people that I interacted with. Again, not across the board, but a significant large chunk of people in the younger generations really struggle with the voice-to-voice communication and how to say and do things. And so for them, chatting is the way that they're going to be able to be the most honest and get things out, which is such a change, right, from us growing up, sitting on the phone for hours on end. Okay, so then empathy for expression, so the challenges that might arise. So just emphasizing the importance of being patient, and then inviting the client, and when they find it difficult to articulate their feelings, giving them that space where they can think, they can articulate them, and where, especially if it's someone who can't rely on nonverbal communication, right? Some people just don't pick up on that. So working that through with the clients, and encourages coaches to ask clarifying questions and offer affirmations that validate our clients' experience. And it really, again, just fosters that space of feeling heard and understood and supported. And social skills in the virtual world. I think we should add social skills in the virtual world to our workshop on empathy in the digital spaces. So how are we going to build these relationships remotely? So, you know, we need to have techniques that are just going to create a warm, inviting virtual space. And I think, again, that is where creating that backdrop behind you on video is so important. I mean, it might be fun to have like fireworks going off behind you, but that's totally going to distract someone, right? Versus, you know, Rita having two lovely plants off to the side today is very calming, soothing, right? Or having in your backdrop, you know, a candle on one side of the table behind you or whatever, just setting those backdrops where, weirdly enough, just the backdrop alone is setting that ambiance and inviting that client into a space that feels safe when it's really just a computer screen. And it encourages coaches, nope. I was rereading something. On the last page, it says it teaches the art of following up on previous conversations. So this just shows our active listening that we are bringing up, especially, you know, writing down. This is where taking notes is so important with clients, because you're not going to be able to remember all the things, especially clients you don't see weekly. I had a client I'd see every like 3 to 4 weeks. she had 2 little kids, so there was like always something going on, right, in the family. So I always was taking very detailed notes, probably more detailed notes on what was going on in our family than our coaching sessions, because I could remember what was happening in our coaching sessions, but I couldn't remember what child was having a tooth pulled and which child had to go to the ears, nose, throat specialist, and like what important thing her husband had going on. But it meant so much to her because I had these things written down, and then I was asking such specific questions about those things later. In the next sessions or 2 sessions later, that meant a lot to them. And so we can still teach these social skills even in a virtual setting, even in a chat setting, right? Even especially in an email, because it's easy to look back and see what was going on. So be aware of all the things that we've been talking about regarding emotional intelligence, and thinking through, are there ways to incorporate, or are there layers of some emotional intelligence that are missing for you in certain settings, or maybe just with certain clients, and trying to narrow down how you could improve the situation, and not just let it be because that's the way that it is, Thoughts, questions, particularly about, emotional intelligence when it comes to working with our clients outside of, just emotional intelligence when it comes to the different ways that we can coach.
Sorry, I was on mute. I just want to taste to the fact that,
Okay, I
when
lost you for a second.
Can you hear me?
I can now. Sorry, my AirPods died.
Oh, now I'm saying I can just attest to the fact of taking notes for our clients, especially when we start coaching and their names in their families are very hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
I had a client, and it's Zayon, Zayat, and Zaid, and 2 years difference between all the boys. And in the end, one of her biggest comments were, I couldn't believe how you could actually know that we are coaching Zayat on this, Dayan on this, and Zed, Zayat, there you go, there's the word gone, on a different aspect, while we were busy with parent coaching. And
yeah,
that made me just realize, because I felt very embarrassed in the beginning to really ask her to take it slow and teach me how to pronounce.
Yeah.
But in the end of a 12-week course, that was the thing that stuck with her, is that I was really determined to get it right for her sake and because she was important.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, if I were y'all, I would, you got your last group with Cheryl on Thursday then. So get all your questions written down, all the possible scenarios that might play out for you in your exam that you want to to work through, and really take advantage of Thursday. And then take advantage of one another as you guys are getting ready to do your final recording.
I still don't know how many sessions her and I need to do together outside of class.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. I got it somewhere.
Did you
Me.
find that? I did not find that. Maybe I should check in my emails
Okay.
as well.
It says here 4 peer coaching sessions with Christine. And
Okay.
have 3 external clients. But I didn't write down how many sessions we need with the 3 external clients.
And have 3 external clients? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That's not going to happen. I can barely survive my life.
No, I think if your recordings are not in class, I think that is what she's just encouraged us to do. Yeah, that was my assumption.
All right. Well, I'm going to also look. Where is that an email you got from the beginning of class?
No, that's actually a physical note that I took down the first day of class.
Okay.
Yeah, because I still got your email address here.
Maybe I did the same thing.
And she said list 10 topics to get coached on through this whole course. So
yeah, I did that.
yeah.
Well, all right.
Yes. Okay, any last parting thoughts, comments?
No.
We head out. Let you guys
No.
go a little early. Give Christine extra time to go to the bathroom today.
I did. I actually did. I like literally set an alarm to go pee today and let my dogs out. Because, you know, I felt so bad. Was it yesterday? It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I hadn't even let them pee since 5 a.m.
No. Oh my gosh.
I just felt like just horrendous. And Joe came home at 3 and he says, oh, do the dogs have to go out? I said, no, probably not. Because I literally just let them out at 2 for the first time today. He's like, what? What happened? I said, I was just busy and forgot I had dogs because I was so busy.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, I just set alarms for everything. Let the dogs out, get yourself breakfast, take a 10-minute walk.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. I'm surprised they didn't pee on something. I would have just peed kitchen floor.
Well, no, they're in there. One of them crapped in there.
Oh, okay.
I felt so bad.
Fair
Oh
enough.
my gosh. They have a little playpen actually that's really close to me.
Oh, okay.
Neither of them cried to say let me
Yeah.
out or anything. She just crapped in there.
Oh.
And just sucked it up and I just felt like so bad. So I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Well, you learned.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah. That's
So,
good.
yeah,
well,
it is what it
Christine,
is.
all the best.
Yeah. Woohoo! That's okay. I'm going away for date night.
Oh, good.
On Friday, my husband and I have booked in Pumpkins After Dark. This wonderful little Halloween event, and we have to go out of town for it. We've got a hotel, and then we're going to go to like this zoo thing in the morning before we come home. And that's gonna like fully unplugged, no computer, turning my phone off. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's in like
Very nice.
on Friday. So it'll be fine. It'll be good. I'll recharge. Yay.
Rita, I hope you guys have a good, safe vacation and that nothing happens except for sheer delight and fun.
Yeah, it's a work trip. It's not a vacation.
Oh,
yeah.
never mind. I still though hope that you do not see the inside of any hospitals.
Yeah, right.
Right, yes. So, yeah. I am going to go to
I mean, if it's fine if it's for a client.
yes, but it's just to figure out what to do in the Cape with our state patients. So
Oh, okay.
I really look forward to that.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will be seeing you guys around. Again, you can always reach out.
Yeah, thank you, Holly, for everything and for
You're
filling
welcome.
in and helping us so much. You've been amazing, and I'm so grateful for you.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you
Yeah,
guys have been
thanks,
so sweet.
Holly.
So it's been good.
Oh,
You are welcome. You are welcome. Well, I will talk to you
hey.
guys hopefully soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe have your
Okay.
email address.
Oh, mine
Yeah.
is, yeah, my new one. Here's my new one. Holly Davis Covell, Covell at
Oh.
gmail.com.
Oh, I better
Because
write
my
that new one down.
right. I mean, the other one
Holly.
works, but Holly Davis Covell with 2
Wow.
L's at Gmail.
COVLLE.
ELL.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, oh wait, I can get a new email. And I was like, and I bet it's not taken. And I can like just keep the old one, like it's just so filled
Yeah.
with spam. I have it highlighted for people to pop up, but still. So it's like I need to start slowly putting real people on the new email.
Real people as opposed to fake ones.
Right. As
Right?
opposed to like Target.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's a real person, but she's not. I feel like
Yeah.
Starbucks is my best friend, but he is not.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, lady.
All right. Take care,
Thank you,
Have a good
girl.
rest of
Holly.
your
We'll talk
day.
soon. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Hello.
Hello. Is this a bad time?
No,